What is 5-amino-1-MQ? Well, 5-amino-1-MQ is methylquinine, and it's a long word, but 5-amino-1-MQ, it inhibits this pathway called NNMT. And NNMT stands for nicotinamide and methyltransferase. And this is an enzyme that methylates nicotinamide, a critical NAD precursor, converts it to 1-methyl-nicotinamide, a form that cannot be recycled back into NAD. And this peptide is really critical because, as you'll see in this video, is that it's just a small amino acid that blocks NMT. And the reason why we want it blocked is because what researchers realized, they discovered that NNMT is this pathway that causes us to hold on to fat. It also causes us to have more inflammation, to be more insulin resistant. And so if you can learn how to express and inhibit NNMT, then you can activate this secondary metabolic function called AMPK. And AMPK is really nice because when you activate it, it's like a secondary energy source. It's like having a hybrid vehicle where it can run on electricity and on gasoline. And so while it's not a peptide in the classical sense, there's some considerable research that's gone around it. And I think it requires a little bit of attention to understand what it can do for your body. So I'm Regan Archibald, founder of Ageless Future. I create these videos because I want people to take health into their own hands. I've seen so many lives transformed when the practice of precision medicine is utilized with the right testing and the right treatment strategies. And so hopefully these videos give you an idea of what your body's capable of and how you can use these small molecules and peptides to just activate your body's own healing capabilities. Now, one of the things that I love about 5-amino-1-MQ is it activates your body's own NAD salvage pathway. And so what that means is it's a way that you can access 150 to 200% of your body's own NAD, meaning some of those supplements that we're taking for NAD, they don't necessarily get to the right where we want it, into that electron transport chain to activate the sirtuins. And so I think 5-amino-1-MQ is probably my favorite way of accessing this NAD. And when you activate NAD, not only are you preventing cells from going rogue because it tightens up that DNA sequencing, so you have this tightening of the DNA so you get better replication of cells. And maybe that's how we can overcome the Hayflick limit. And that's where there's a lot of research that's been going on. But one of the key insights came from 2021. It was published in Molecular Metabolism. And what they found is that this NNMT, it sits at the intersection of cellular metabolism and epigenetic regulation. So 5-amino-1-MQ is not just to help you run faster and feel better and have more energy, but it also changes the way that your DNA replicates, and it actively governs the economy of fat cells. And so the beautiful thing about this is most of us, we have this extra visceral fat or this subcutaneous fat, and many times it's almost impossible to get rid of. And that's where tesamorelin has been such a powerful peptide, and I've got several videos on that, and we'll provide a link for you in the show notes. But if you think of this visceral fat, it's this white, metabolically inactive fat. And the reason why it's called white fat is because the mitochondria are concentrated in the center of the fat cell. And so just by turning on the process of metabolic activity in these fat cells, now the fat cells become beige. And this is why I'm a big fan of cold plunges, cold exposure. It's because a little bit of cold activates the brown fat. And so that means the fat cells, when they're metabolically active, now you can use it as an energy source. One of the things that happens with NNMT, as it increases, white adipose tissue increases. And as that rises, your primary methyl donor for hundreds of epigenetic and metabolic reactions also start to rise. And so when that occurs, when you've got these epigenetic triggers from inhibiting NNMT, now what happens happens is your fat cells, they lose that ability to recruit new fat cells, so you stop producing fat, you stop storing fat as well, and then you become more metabolically active. Now, this is not a willpower problem, it's a biochemical shift that changes the fundamental behavior of your fat tissue. So think of a fat tissue as an endocrine system in and of itself. And that's what happens as we put on more fat, we become more insulin resistant. And this insulin resistance causes us to eat more, to put on more weight, to be more metabolically tired. We don't feel as good when we exercise. We're not motivated to get into the gym. And so as you look at the studies, you'll find that, man, if we could knock out some of this NNMT pathway and get rid of some of this adipose tissue where we have reduced fat mass and improved insulin sensitivity, we're going to see massive changes in our overall quality of life. And so one of the things they did with obese mice is they fed them both the same diet. One group got the 5-amino-1-MQ, which inhibited the NNMT. The other group just got the placebo. And they found that these obese mice on 5-amino-1-MQ actually had a massive reduction in their visceral fat. They had a reduction in blood glucose levels, and they had much stronger dexterity. So when they were able to look at the mice grip and their balance, that improved. And even in the skeletal muscle contractility improved by 27%. And so this is pretty interesting because if you think about what that does in humans, while we have a lot of work to do, this molecule could actually help a lot of us who maybe we've stalled out on the GLP-1s. Maybe we've activated that single pathway, whether it's GLP-1 with a GIP and maybe a triple agonist like retatrutide. Now you've got glucagon that's kicked in, but you want to cycle off those, but you don't want to replace the fat that you've lost, or you're stalled out on GLP-1s. Well, you want to think on these sirtuin pathways, because when your NAD levels go up, which is one thing that researchers have discovered 5-amino-1-MQ allows the body to do, is produce more NAD. Now you've activated SIRT1 and SIRT3, and these are the sirtuins that govern fat oxidation, mitochondrial biogenesis, so that means the formation of new mitochondria, and they create more stress resilience. That sounds a lot like exercise. Oh yeah. So, and by the way, when you're using 5-amino-1-MQ, I've found that I feel younger, I feel lighter on my feet. I notice I can jump a little bit higher. And AMPK activity is you can increase that. Now you're protecting your metabolic state from this oxidative phosphorylation over fat storage. And so the beautiful thing is when you can shift from this white fat to brown fat, now you're going to have this better capability of regulating your body temperature. And you'll also notice that your body will utilize more calories even when you're not active. In one study, it was published in the Biochemical Pharmacology in 2018, it showed that diet-induced obese mice receiving the compound 5-amino-1-MQ showed significantly reduced body weight and less white adipose mass, lowered plasma total cholesterol, and decreased adipocyte size without changing anything in their food intake. So once again, and this study has been repeated many times. There's another study, the 22 Scientific Report study. What they did is combined NNMT inhibitor with a low-fat diet substitution in the obese mice and found significantly greater reductions in body weight, fat mass, liver fat content, and hepatic steatosis compared to dietary intervention alone. So they did find that yes, even if you combine the diet with the 5-amino-1-MQ, you're going to get even better outcomes. Now, we don't have any published human clinical trials on 5-amino-1-MQ as of this recording. There's been several kind of nuanced trials. We are running an IRB through University of San Diego, and I'm excited about that, so we'll let you know the data as it comes out. So most of this is translation from mouse to humans, and unfortunately only about 10% of that actually is realistic. But if you think of the mechanism, I think it gives us a reason to pause and consider, is 5-amino-1-MQ something that we want to add into our longevity and fitness protocol? And so the very first thing you want to do, if you want to go deeper into your health, go to agelessfuture.com, reach out to my team, schedule your free intro call, talk to us about your goals, what you'd like to accomplish when it comes to your health, and then meet with one of our providers. So get the right labs tested for you. Specifically, if you're interested in 5-amino-1-MQ, we got to look at hemoglobin A1C, your full lipid panel, your liver enzymes, and then body composition analysis. I'm Regan Archibald. Really appreciate you being on the channel. See you in the next video.